Welcome to Zoom In, Zoom Out, where we look at how news about Taiwan is impacting the world. I'm Betty Chen. This year marked the 7th time since Taiwan's exclusion from the World Health Assembly in Geneva. Despite Taiwan's absence, its efforts has been praised by the world in terms of the early response to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, Taiwan is still outside the WHO body. Could a country be vulnerable if the next pandemic strikes? Today, we're honored to have invited Ms. Rita Jhang, health communications expert and also professor of National Taiwan University. So Rita, please say hi to our audience.
So hi everyone, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So thank you, Rita, for joining us today. Before we get started, we have a story by TaiwanPlus reporter Bing Wang, who's telling us about the Taiwanese protesters on the street of Geneva. Let's have a look.
A confrontation on the streets of Geneva. The head of the World Health Organization being asked to support Taiwan's inclusion in the World Health Assembly, or WHA, the decision-making body where global health policy is formed.
You know, if member states, we have 194. If they vote in favor, that's their duty, you see?
Yeah, but
so
Taiwan
it's for
is
the
also
member states.
Taiwan was excluded from the 76th World Health Assembly that opened on Sunday. The country has been shut out from annual meetings since 2017 because of China's objections. Before 2017, Taiwan had observer status in the body.
Include Taiwan! Include Taiwan!
Though excluded from the assembly, outside the venue, Taiwan's presence was tangible, with an international group of demonstrators determined to show their support for the country.
All right, so Rita, we are going to zoom in a bit. Taiwan has been denied observer status in the WHA since 2016, and you are a public health scholar. What is your take on this?
So I think the word deny is not entirely accurate because the observer state is actually, it's an invitation. So we have to be invited to go there. So we just haven't been receiving invitation. So just to clarify on that. And I teach in a global health program. So I think the most important thing for us to understand why this issue matters is to really understand what global health means. It's the idea that everyone on this globe are connected. Our health is connected. And every policy of each state is connected. Just take virus, for example. Virus really doesn't know borders, right? And virus just go wherever they want to go. So to exclude certain parts of the world from the global health regime is just counterintuitive and it's counterproductive.
Thank you for your explanation about the importance of global health. So how does Taiwan's exclusion mean for the Taiwanese government's response to the global pandemic?
I think for Taiwan, we are lucky in a way that we have really good state capacity. That means, okay, you don't want to invite us. We can still kind of do it well, right? And it's evidenced by our response to COVID-19, even though our SARS response was terrible, but we learned from our mistakes, right? And the idea of state capacity is the idea that our state and our civic society and our private sectors, how well can everyone come together for the policy to really take effect? So I think for Taiwan, even though not being included in WHO and WHA does delay our, response time, but because I think we are, ourselves is strong enough for us to still handle the crisis well. But I'm just thinking about all the other excluded states with less state capacity, like resource poor states. It's just counterintuitive and counterproductive for WHO to not include these countries. And another problem is everybody knows our exclusion is a pressure from China. Taiwan's exclusion is a symbol of China's influence, one member's over-influence on an organization. And that really decreased WHO's legitimacy. And actually the loss of trust, the global citizen loss of trust of such organization is actually the most deadly cause of global health crisis. Not any virus, it's the loss of trust.
So thank you so much for talking about the loss of trust. And you also mentioned that Taiwan is not the only example. There are also other states or members excluded from the WHO or WHA. In Taiwan, we know that we have some diplomatic allies or even some other countries, like-minded democracies. They're trying to speak on Taiwan's behalf on international arena to support our inclusion. What else can we do? Given that you talk about maybe the unfair situation happening in WHO, what can we do?
Yeah, I think right now we have to acknowledge that China's influence is still rising. So therefore, under that, Taiwan's participation in WHO, UN, I think will still be very limited and almost impossible. So we gotta find other ways to do it. And thankfully, Taiwan has, a lot of experiences in doing that, right? We have to be very versatile and agile, just creative and flexible. And so something very important about our strategy in response to this is also a critique to WHO's state-centric design. So that is, right, you have to be a full state to be a member. But like I said, that idea is just outdated because right now in 2023, there are so many non-state, like limited recognized states, but also a lot of non-state actors like the super big pharmaceuticals. I think they probably have more power than a small state, right? They have so much power. The Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation, they have so much money and power, right? And then it's just kind of weird that they are not at the table, right? And then they're not at the table to discuss these issues, and countries like Taiwan are not at the table to discuss these issues. But with that said, I think Taiwan's flexibility lies within how we can operate under and above the state level, right? We have NGOs, we have some parts of government, not the entire ROC/Taiwan, some part of the government, like the ICDF, International Cooperation Development Fund, right? So I think the role of NGOs should really, we need to put more emphasis on that. And that's actually what the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is trying to do. 2019, they released their what's called the Partnership for Progress in Sustainable Development white paper on foreign aid. And so they're actually updating it this year. In 2023, they're releasing a new version. One important area for them to focus on is the role of NGO. Because, like in Taiwan, if you have a Taiwan passport, you cannot even enter the UN building, right? But so many NGOs in Taiwan actually are able to participate in those global meetings and global organizations as NGOs representing Taiwan, but not the actual, Taiwan government.
Definitely, we will talk more about the NGOs. So now we're going to show you a clip about one NGO in Taiwan. So now we would like to zoom out a bit on a global stage. We spoke to Jia Ye from the Taiwan Digital Diplomacy Association to see how Taiwanese civil society groups are advocating for Taiwan's inclusion. Let's have a look.
Greetings from Geneva, Switzerland. We are the Taiwan Digital Diplomacy Association, and we are staying here for this weekend to do our best to push the reputation of Taiwan onto the global stage. The Taiwanese government and the Taiwanese civil society, they have been organizing a lot of advocacy, events in Geneva every year when the World Health Assembly is happening. When we were doing our parade and doing a demonstration there on the streets of Geneva, I have observed that local citizens, they actually were all talking about Taiwan. I would say that our demonstration and our petition, Taiwanese people's voice has been heard by people in Geneva.
Now let's zoom out a bit, Rita. So you talk about the important roles that the civil groups or the NGOs can play. Could you tell us a bit more about that? And how are they cooperating, say, with the international organizations, or they're working on behalf of the government?
Yeah, I think, there are a lot of countries in the world that are kind of our friends. They're not our allies, formally allies, but they are our friends because we built personal relationship. In these countries, so they may not be open in their support of Taiwan, but because we have entities like NGOs or non-state actors that can, form a relationship with these different actors, then, they can show our support. So NGOs like the Digital Diplomacy Association, for example. So they started out, I think I personally really admire this NGO because they actually started out helping Kosovo, which is also a limited recognized state.
So they're not just doing this for Taiwan, they're also helping other countries as well.
And then now they're like trying so many different creative ways to increase civic diplomacy. They send their people to Geneva to, interact with people over there and try to advocate for Taiwan to participate in WHA. So my program, which is Global Health Program in NTU, we collaborated with them, and we had this event where we live streamed the WHA parallel event taking place in Geneva. So we live stream here for our students and also the general public to know about this. So I think that's just one way to show it. And then during that event, because Global Health Program, this program is a master's and PhD program of all international students. It's an all English program. So we have about half of our student body from the United States and others from other countries, and a lot of them, they came to Taiwan. Some of them are not aware of our exclusion of WHO, but they all came to Taiwan because they want to learn about public health from Taiwan.
I just want to cut in because I'm really interested in this program. So you talk about your students, they're coming from all over the world. What is the main attraction? Why are they coming to Taiwan to join this program? And what can Taiwan offer?
Yeah, so this program started shortly before COVID. So our first years of student, first and second years of student, they came to Taiwan not because of how well Taiwan did in response to COVID. They came to Taiwan because they know Taiwan has a lot to offer. First of all, like I said, our NHI system is world famous, even though it needs reform right now because, that's a story for another day. But indeed, we had a good system. And then that's a system that people want to come and learn. One of our students, he's from Thailand, right? He specifically came here to study our NHI system. And another is they want to learn about this part of the world, but they also want to learn our democracy, right? So the idea of public health, global health, and democracy, the three things come together. We have a thriving civic society and how that contributes to global health.
Thank you so much, Rita. It's very well said. So one quick final question. Are you optimistic about any possible chance for Taiwan to be included in the WHA in the future?
I am a more realistic person. So I think we shouldn't like put our hope on, can we participate? But rather operating under the premise that we may not participate, but how can we still prepare ourselves? So I think, again, we now have good state capacity, but we gotta increase that. Our soft power, our hard power, and our civic society, all of these has to be enforced to make sure that in the case that we're continuously excluded, we are still able to protect ourselves and contribute to global health. And I think during COVID-19, that's what the world saw, right? An excluded state can have such big impact on global health, right? And we need to make more friends like that, right? We need more friends. We need to be a good player and build good relationship, be agile, be flexible, and then thrive in ambiguity.
So Taiwan Can Help will not just be a slogan. It shows that we can really provide, whether it's our knowledge or expertise or health educator or advocate like you yourself, you can really make an impact onto the world. Thank you so much, Rita. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you very much. So this has been Zoom In, Zoom Out. You can find us on Facebook or Twitter. Stay safe and see you next time.